What's up, Crim Heist? Welcome to another Criminology educational video. So for today, we will be discussing law enforcement organization and administration. By the way, my name is Professor Sean Francis Sandiego, also known as the Professor. I am a magna cum laude graduate from Universidad de Manila with a program of Bachelor of Science in Criminology. I am a registered criminologist since June 2019, a civil service professional passer, and an honor grant eligible from the Civil Service Commission. Currently, I am a full-time criminology instructor at the College of Criminal Justice Education at FINMA St. Jude College. So for today, i-discuss natin yung historical background ng law enforcement both internationally and locally. So when we say internationally, these are the historical backgrounds or the history of the law enforcement in certain countries such as Europe, United States, and then when we say locally, ito yung mga history ng law enforcement dito sa Philippines. Also, we will be discussing the fundamental theories of police service. So, nahahati sa dalawa yung theories of police service or yung theories of policing. Nandiyan yung continental theory and home rule theory na i-discuss ko sa inyo mamaya. And also, i-discuss din natin yung concepts of policing or concepts of police service, which is dalawa din yan, which is the modern concept and the old concept. So, let's go. First, alamin muna natin yung origin or etymology of the word police. So, the word police was derived from the Roman word politia. So, please be mindful of the spellings. So, yung police daw was derived from the Roman word politia, which means condition of a state, government, and administration. So, ibig sabihin yung politia, which is doon nang galing yung word na police, hindi pa ito directly ginamit or dinescribe yung law enforcer. Bagkos ang word na policia, ang dinedescribe niya is yung condition ng isang state or government. And then policia or the word policia originated from the Greek word politeia. So ayan, yung spelling uli. Yung politeia is with letter E na, which means government of a city. It is applied to civil officers, not necessarily police officers. So, ibig sabihin kay politeia, ang ginagamit dito is yung mga government employees or yung mga civil officers working in the government. So, not necessarily police officers. But the French finally changed the word to police and used it to those authorized people who actually enforce the law. Afterwards, the American borrowed it and used to describe a law enforcement officer or yung police officer na nga. So, next would be the history of law enforcement. So, unahin muna natin yung ancient police. So, in ancient police, nandiyan yung ancient Babylon. So, clay tablet originated from the Babylons was utilized by law enforcement or Babylonian officers to show reports to his superiors. So, as we all know, nagsimula talaga yung mga clay tablets kay King Babylon sa Babylonian. In Babylon rather, wherein yung mga Babylonians or Babylonian officers, they use the clay tablet in order for them to write their reports para mas madaling mabasa ng mga superior officers or yung mga superior Babylonian officers o yung mga high-ranking officers ng ancient Babylon. Temple guards and watchmen was mentioned in the Holy Bible, whose duty is to protect the city and arrest violator of king's order. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga order daw ni King Babylon ayun daw isa sa mga trabaho ng mga Babylonian officer. It is to protect the city and as well as arrest violators sa mga orders or rules and regulations na ini-implement or pinapatupad ni King Babylon. Second would be the ancient Egypt. So, Medjay, Egyptians organized police force. So, they are not members of the military force. So, ibig sabihin itong Medjay, these are police force or police organization organized or created by the Egyptians. While yung Vigiles naman, it was organized by Augustus, the first Roman emperor, which means a purposeful or watchful staying awake. They were armed with staves or wood or metal. Their duty is to keep peace and suppress fires. So, ibig sabihin itong Vigiles, it is not just for maintaining peace and order like any other police officer's duty, but also nagiging firefighters din sila. So, it is one of their tasks or duties to suppress or to fight fire. Next would be the Middle Ages. So, sa Middle Ages ng history ng law enforcement, nandiyan yung Anglo-Saxon period, which is from 600 to 1066 AD, or Anglo-Saxon, which is ancient England yan. So first would be the Tan's policing system. For Tan's policing system, it was introduced by King Alfred the Great, a type of internal police force where landowners throughout the kingdom were responsible to police their own territory. So as we so nakikita natin, or so as we understand this sentence or phrases, yung TAN's policing system pala, it is more of giving the police power or yung responsibility to the landowners to protect their own territory. So landowners were empowered to arrest offenders and deliver them to the king. Landowners were also empowered to settle civil litigations. So basta pag TAN's policing system, it is more of King Alfred the Great giving police power or the authority to police their own territory rather, is yung mga landowners. So next would be the Frank Pledge policing system. So for Frank Pledge policing system, this policing system was carried out under a system or mutual pledge. Every male over 12 years old recruits 9 of his neighbors to form tithing men. A community is sectored into groups of 10 men. So yung tithing men, ito yung group of 10 men in a community wherein they are responsible to arrest criminals. So yun yung Frank Pledge policing system wherein bubuo sila ng 10 group of men wherein they are tasked, or yung 10 men na yon will be called as tithing men, wherein their duty or responsible is to maintain peace and order and to arrest criminals. So sila yung parang nagiging law enforcers sa kanilang community. Next would be the town policing system. So this policing system required all male residents to guard town, to preserve peace and order, protect life and property of the people, and suppress other factors affecting peace and order. So town originated from the word town. So dito naman, sa town policing system is that it requires all male residents para mag-guard ng town. Unlike dun sa Frank Pledge system, 10 men lang in every community. While here in town policing system, it requires all male residents. Next would be the hue and cry policing system. So complainant or victim will go to the middle of the community and shout to call all male residents to assemble. Once heard, male residents will automatically assemble to apprehend the criminal. So for the hue and cry policing system, it is from the word itself, hue and cry, it is shouting for help, wherein the victims will go to the middle of the community or middle of the street and they will shout for help. And no matter kung anong oras man yon, the male residents should assemble to apprehend and go after that criminal. Next would be the royal judge system. So the royal judge conducts criminal investigation and gives appropriate punishment for the crime committed. So for the royal judge, siya na yung criminal investigator or mag-iimbestiga ng krimen, and siya na rin yung magbibigay ng appropriate punishment depending on the crime committed by the criminal. So it started the identification of criminals. Next would be the trial by ordeal. It requires a suspect to put his hands over boiling water or is required to perform any other act which may hurt him. So marami pong types ng trial by ordeal. Katulad na lang ng paghawak ng mainit na plancha o kaya pag-apak sa apoy and any other acts na makakasakit sa tao. And then, bakit nila ginagawa ito? Ginagawa nila ito kasi if he was hurt, the society considered him guilty. Otherwise, he was not considered guilty. So, yun yung parang pinaka-barometer nila kung yung tao na yon is guilty or not. So, pag siya ay nasaktan, the society will consider him guilty. Pag siya ay hindi nasaktan or pag natiis niya, the society will consider him not guilty. This was in accordance with the belief by the people before that God will protect the innocent one from being hurt. So, ibig sabihin, kung inosente ka daw, pagprotektahan ka ng Diyos para ikaw ay hindi masaktan. No matter kung ano man yung mga acts na gagawin nila or ipapagawa nila sa'yo na nakakasakit talaga. Next would be the Shire Reeve system. So it was observed during the time when King William Norman became the ruler of England. So King Norman divided the kingdom into 55 military districts known as the Shire Reeves. When we say Shire, ito yung district. And when we say Reeve, ito yung ruler ng district or yung head of the district. Which is ang trabaho ni Reeve is to formulate laws, render judgment, and impose penalties. Next would be the keepers of the peace. So King Richard of England in 1195 commissioned certain knights to preserve peace in unruly areas. So ang responsibility rather ng keepers of the peace is to ensure that the law was upheld and preserve the king's peace. Period. So for the modern period, nandiyan ang night watchmen or bellmen. So it was created by virtue of law passed by King Charles II in 1663. They were employed to be on a duty from sunset to sunrise. So from the word itself, night watchmen, so ibig sabihin, they do their patrolling or patrol activity or they do their duty at night. So from sunset up to sunrise. Next would be the Bow Street Runners or the Thief Catchers. So the Bow Street Runners was organized by Henry Fielding, the Chief Magistrate of Bow Street in London in 1748. So later on, he formed the Bow Street Horse Patrol, whose duty was to patrol the main roads, thus secure the travelers from highway bandits. So ibig sabihin, binuo niya yung Bow Street Horse Patrol in order to secure yung mga tao sa mga main roads or sa mga highways from mga magnanakaw. Next would be the London Metropolitan Police. So it was established by Sir Robert Peel, the father of modern policing, in 1829, which became the world's first modern organized police force. It was later called Scotland Yard. Next would be the policing in Philippine settings. So, natapos na tayo dun sa international history or the history in the international settings ng law enforcement. Now, let's go to the Philippine settings. So first would be the pre-Spanish era. So when we say pre-Spanish era, ito yung panahon kung saan hindi pa tayo nasasakop ng mga Espanyol. So nung pre-Spanish era, meron na tayong policing or parang law enforcement dito sa ating bansa. So nandyan yung mga cabeza de barangay, was the head and the leader of the group or settlers. So as we all know, the Philippines before, hiwa-hiwalay naman yan. So, may kanya-kanya silang society in a certain barangay. So, yun yung tinatawag na cabeza de barangay. And yung head would be called cabeza or headman, which ang trabaho ni cabeza is to perform all the jobs of the officers, what we call now the chief of police. So, ibig sabihin, siya na yung chief of police, siya na ang prosecutor, siya na rin ang judge, at siya na rin ang jail warden. So, kumbaga, master of all. Diba? Kumbaga, siya lahat ang gumagawa. So next would be Spanish period. So when we say Spanish period, ito na yung sinakop na tayo ng mga Espanyol. So, ang unang nangyari dyan is the Carabineros de Seguridad Pública in 1712. So it was organized for the purpose of carrying out the policies of the Spanish government. So ibig sabihin binuo si Carabineros de Seguridad Pública upang sa gayon ay mapasunod ang mga Pilipino by carrying out the policies or para sunduin yung mga polisiya o mga rules and regulations na pinapatupad ng Spanish government. It was given the special commission as custodian of the tobacco monopoly. So it was later known as Cuerpo de Carabineros de Seguridad Pública. So ito na yung naging bago niyang pangalan by virtues of Royal Decree December 20, 1842. So anong duty ni Carabineros de Seguridad Pública? Ang duty niya is to become a police-like or rather to become police-like, including prosecution, maintenance of peace and order, and security. And of course, to enforce laws and ordinances or yung mga policies carried out by the Spanish government. Next would be the Guardrilleros, which was established on January 8, 1836. So a body of rural police organized in each town, which composed of 5% of the able-bodied male inhabitants of each town or province enlisted to serve for 3 years. So ibig sabihin in every in every town or province, 5% ng mga malalakas or mga physically fit na mga lalaki are mandatory na sila ay mag-e-enlist to serve for 3 years as a guardrillero. So, ang duty nila, ang guardrilleros, parang itong mga local police. And ang duties nila are to make patrol and carry mails at times. So, nagiging mailman din sila. To guard dark and unsafe places. To guard the tribunal and prison houses. Yon. So, ito yung mga duties na meron ang isang guardilleros or ang isang local police during the Spanish era. Next would be the Guardia Civil. Guardia Civil was established on February 2, 1836. So it partially relieved the Spanish peninsular troops of their works in policing towns. So it consisted of a body of Filipino policemen organized generally in each of the provincial capitals of the central provinces of Luzon under the alcalde or governor. So yan yung Guardia Civil. Next would be the American period. So when we say American period, ito yung American colonization sa Philippines. So nandyan ang Insular Police Force which was established on November 30, 1890. So kung mapapansin niyo kung ano yung mga in-establish nung American period, ito yung mga mas nagtagal and ito yung mga inadapt natin up until now. So, the Insular Police Force was established during the Filipino-American War in 1898 up to 1901. So, upon the recommendation of the Philippine Commission to the Secretary of War. Next would be the Insular Constabulary, which was established in July 18, 1901. So, it was created by virtue of Act Number 175, otherwise known as an act providing for the organization and government of an Insular Constabulary. So the members were declared peace officers and were authorized and empowered to prevent and suppress brigandage, unlawful assembles, riots, insurrections, and other breaches of the peace and violations of law. So more of, ang Insular Constabulary, it is more of peace officers. So sila yung nagme-maintain ng peace and order, also para mapigilan nila kung meron mga unlawful assembles, riots, or yung mga risk to national security. Next would be the Manila Police Department, which was established on July 31, 1901. So it was organized by virtue of Act Number 183 of the Philippine Commission. So Captain George Curry, it is the U.S. Army officer appointed by the Taft Commission on August 7, 1901 as the first Chief of Police of the Manila Police District. So si Captain George Curry ang first U.S. Chief of Police ng MPD. While Colonel Antonio Torres is the first Filipino Chief of Police ng MPD when it became an all-Filipino police organization. While si Colonel Lamberto Havalera, siya yung first Filipino Chief of Police ng MPD na inappoint ni President Rojas under the Republic government. So, ibig sabihin, sila lahat ng mga firsts. So, sana all first. So, si Captain George Curry, siya yung U.S. Army officer, the first U.S. Army officer ng as Chief of Police ng Manila Police District. Si Colonel Antonio Torres, the first Filipino Chief of Police when it became an all-Filipino police organization. While Colonel Lamberto T. Habalera is the first Filipino Chief of Police of MPD, which was appointed during the Republic government or naging Republika ng Pilipinas na. So next would be the Philippine Constabulary o yung tinatawag natin na PC, which was established on October 3, 1901. So, for Philippine Constabulary, so Insular Constabulary was renamed to Philippine Constabulary by virtue of Act Number 255. So, si Captain Henry T. Allen was the first chief of the Philippine Constabulary from 1901 to 1907, such that he was called as the father of constabulary in the Philippines. So, it was mostly manned by Filipinos. So, sa Philippine Constabulary, it is more of Filipino members na. But, yung mga high-ranking officers were mostly Americans pa rin. So, as provided by the Revised Administrative Code of 1980, yung PC raw or yung Philippine Constabulary would be a national police institution which ang kanyang duty ay to preserve peace, keep order, and, of course, enforce law. So after that is the Philippine Constabulary pa rin. Brigadier General Rafael Crame is the first Filipino chief of the Philippine Constabulary. So he serves as the Philippine Constabulary chief from 1917 to 1927. So for 10 years. Next would be Bureau of Investigation or ito na yung tinatawag natin ngayon as NBI or National Bureau of Investigation. So by virtue of Act number 181 in November 1938, it created the Bureau of Investigation. So the modification of the Division of Investigation from the DOJ. So on June 19, 1947, nabuo or pinasa yung Republic Act 157 which ang ginawa or which enacted the creation of the National Bureau of Investigation or NBI. Next would be the Japanese period. For the Japanese period, isa lang to. Ito yung Kempei Tai. So for Kempei Tai, Japanese military police held responsible in maintaining peace and order in Manila and adjacent urban areas. So when we say adjacent urban areas, ito yung mga kalatig lungsod. So it ruled the urban areas until General Douglas MacArthur returned on February 7, 1945. It is the military force of Japan utilized during the World War II. So they specializes in interrogation methods and its task was to crush all resistance to military rule and it had powers to arrest, extract information from civilians and military alike. So, ang mga Kempeitai daw, they are very good in interrogating people to extract information. So, next would be the police service. So, ano na bang nangyaring police service after the World War II? So, by virtue of Republic Act 2678, this law provides the expansion and reorganization of the NBI. So, ang NBI daw is both an investigative and a research service agency. Next would be Republic Act 4864, also known as the Police Act of 1966. So it created the Police Commission or also known or mas famously na alam natin to as NAPOLCOM or the National Police Commission under the Office of the President. Its function is to oversee the training and professionalization of the local police force. So si NAPOLCOM kasi, siya yung bahala sa training and professionalization ng Philippine National Police ngayon. Next would be PD 765. So the PD 765 constituted the INP or the Integrated National Police. It stipulated that the office of NAPOLCOM should be under the Ministry of National Defense. So, in-integrate din ng PD 765 ang Philippine Constabulary and yung INP or yung Integrated National Police. Next is Republic Act 6975. So also known as the DILG Act of 1990. It created the Philippine National Police and declared to be the only police force in the country that is national in scope and civilian in character. So alam naman natin ang mga kapulisan natin, it is national in scope. So ibig sabihin ng kanilang jurisdiction is national. So buong Pilipinas yan, may mga police and civilian in character sila. Next would be Republic Act 8551, also known as the PNP Reform and Reorganization Act of 1998. So it amended some provisions of Republic Act 6975. So ni-reorganize na yung PNP for the purpose of professionalizing the said agency. Kasi di ba before, pag 72 units ka lang or sa college or high school graduate ka, pwede ka na maging police. But because of this Republic Act 8551, nagkaroon ng professionalization. Kailangan, may mga certain requirements like kailangan may eligibility ka, kailangan you are a baccalaureate degree holder, etc. So next would be the theories of police service. So as what I've said a while ago, there are two theories or fundamental theories ang policing or ang police service. So unahin natin si continental theory. So for continental theory, police or law enforcement officers are considered as servants of the higher authority. So sa madalit salita, ang pinagsisilbihan lang nila yung mga matataas na tao. Normal citizens has zero portion or little participation with the duties nor connection with the police organization, also known as the centralized pattern utilized by the European countries. So next would be the home rule theory. So police or law enforcement officers are considered as servants of the community who depend on for the efficiency of their functions upon the expressed needs of the people. So para mas mapadali, kung si continental theory, ang pinagsisilbihan niya ay mga higher authority or matataas na tao, dito kay home rule theory, ang pinagsisilbihan niya ay yung mga normal citizens. So they are civil servants who its primordial duty is to preserve peace and order in the community. It is referred as the decentralized pattern used in the United States and England. Kasi si continental theory, tinatawag siya na centralized pattern. So, based dun sa discussion ko ng home rule theory and continental theory, ano sa tingin niyo ang ginagamit ng Philippine National Police? Is it home rule theory or continental theory? So, to answer that question, the answer would be home rule theory. So, ang mga police officers natin here in the Philippines or the Philippine National Police or the members of the Philippine National Police, ito ang ina-adhere nilang theory, which is home rule theory, wherein they are civil servants. At ang kanilang primordial duty is to preserve peace and order sa society natin here in the Philippines. Next would be the concepts of police service. So, first would be the old concept. So this concept of police service has the yardstick of police competence is the high number of arrests, throwing offenders to jail. So anong gusto sabihin ni old concept? So pag mas madami daw ang naaresto ng mga police officers, yun daw ang parameter o yun daw ang yardstick o palatandaan na competent at effective ang mga police officers na naka-assign doon sa community na yon or sa certain area na yon. And while itong modern concept, this concept of policing service has the yardstick of police competence in the absence of crime. So, ang parameter naman o palatandaan na effective ang mga police officers na naka-duty sa community or sa area of responsibility mo is the absence of crime. So, sa tingin nyo, anong mas maganda? Old concept or modern concept? So, based on the definition and the discussion, mas maganda si modern concept. Kasi ibig sabihin dito, absence of crime. So, when we say absence of crime, naging successful yung mga crime prevention programs, which is one or the primordial duty ng police officers, especially here in the Philippines, crime prevention. So, kumbaga last resort na lang yung crime suppression, which is yung hulihin mo kung may crime nang nangyari. Next is the types of organizational structure. So may tatlo lang yan, the functional, the line, and the line and staff. So for functional, this type of organizational structures distributes authority and responsibility on specialists. So the duty of each functional manager is limited to the activity over which he was controlled, regardless of who performs the action. So when we say functional, meron na functional managers depending on the specialization nila. So for example, ang specialization niya is more on forensic sciences. So siya ay functional manager sa crime laboratory. So kung saan siya magaling or kung saan siya well experienced and well trained, dun siya ilalagay. Yun yung feature ni functional type of organization. While kay line type of organization, it is a straight line organization. So, ito yung mga ginagamit sa mga military or tinatawag din to as military or simplest form of organization. So, yung authority kasi nito and responsibility flows or naglalaro lang siya from top to bottom in a clear and unbroken line since it is a straight line organization. So, the authority is outright or absolute. Next would be the line and staff. So this type of organization is a combination of line and functional type. So it combines specialists for units with line organization, and channels of responsibility and authority are intact since the responsibility of the specialist is only to advise and use their expertise for the line units. So ito yung ginagamit na type ng organization sa Philippine National Police. So meron pa rin siyang line organization kasi military alike pa rin. Pero may mga specialists or mga functional managers siya, which is a feature ng functional. Kaya yung type of organization na ginagamit ni PNP is line and staff. So that's all for today. So thank you very much, and I do hope that you learned a lot from our discussion about law enforcement, organization, and administration. So once again, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the professor. And please hit the notification bell for you to be updated for my next upload. So please comment if you do have any suggestions about topics in criminology that you want me to create na or gawa natin ng video. So yun. Thank you very much and hope to see you on my next one. Thank you.